Good morning, everyone. Distinguished speakers, Dr. Raut Pandurang K, Deputy Director, Journal of Shipping, Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways, Government of India. Mr. Vineet Mazgaonkar, Member, CII National Committee on Logistics and Chairman, Armstrong Dematic. Mr. Farhan Mukadam, Senior Director, Alvarez Marshall. Dr. Professor Rahul Marathe R, Professor, Department of Management Studies, Indian Institute of Technology, Madras. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the second edition of the STAR, Solution D Technology Automation and Robotics Conference, the name which was coined by my friend Vineet Mazgaonkar some years back, a couple of years back. It's a great pleasure to welcome Dr. Raut Pandurang K, Deputy Director General of Shipping, Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways, Government of India. Dr. Raut. Dr. Raut serves as a Deputy Director General of Shipping, Administration, Coordination, MTO and Vigilance. He is a doctor, the real doctor with MBBS. He holds MBBS, MA in Economics and LLB. He has over 20 years of experience across indirect taxation and maritime sectors. Dr. Pandurang is 2006 IRS Customs and Indirect Taxation Officer. He has held various senior positions, including Assistant Commissioner and Joint Commissioner in Customs, GST, and Director General of Central Excise and Intelligence. His current role focuses on maritime training, policy, coastal shipping, multimodal transport operators, and international and maritime coordination. Welcome, Dr. Pandurang. I'm always happy to welcome my colleague, my friend, Mr. Vineet Mazgaonkar. I always take inspirations from him. Meeting him always is good. He's a member of CII National Committee on Logistics and also chairman of Armstrong Dematic. Mr. Vineet Mazgaonkar is a chairman of Armstrong. He's known as a prominent innovator and a senior leader in the interlogistics automation industry. He has been in this high-tech industry for automation for almost 27 years, including 20 years of Armstrong and 2 years in senior leadership on a German multinational company's board. Let me welcome Mr. Farhan Mukadam, Senior Director, Alvarez and Marshall. Mr. Farhan Mukadam, Senior Director, Alvarez and Marshall. He has over 16 years of consulting experience and worked in several companies like Ernst & Young, Elegant Tools Center, Universal Consulting, and Tata Strategic Management Group. Welcome, Farhan. Let me also extend welcome to Professor Dr. Rahul Marathe, Professor of Department of Management Studies, Indian Institute of Technologies, Madras. Dr. Marathe is Professor, Department of Management Studies in the Indian Institute of Technology, Madras. He obtained his PhD and MS from Iowa State University in Industrial Engineering and Statistics. And he's Bachelor's of Engineering, Production Engineering from Mumbai University. He is expert in decision-making under uncertainty, mathematical and statistical model. I think he's the one who has all the know-how to build AI engines, AI models with his professional interests in data analysis, TOSTEC modeling, game theory, and operations research. I think all the studies which helps in building AI engines. So welcome, Dr. Marathe. I would also like to talk a little bit about CII Institute of Logistics, which is facilitating, which is running, organizing this event. CII Institute of Logistics is a center of excellence established with a mission to enhance logistics competitiveness of Indian industries by actively working with various stakeholders to achieve the goal, driving improvements and fostering collaboration across the spectrum of logistics sector. It offers various initiatives, including in-house corporate training programs, online interactive live weekend sessions, and also there is a CII School of Logistics, all aimed at equipping professionals with essential skills for the evolving logistics industry. Remember, logistics industry is the sunrise industry in the country. which will have the highest number of people getting the jobs. We take this opportunity to thank the industry for providing 360-degree insight, which has helped us curate various programs designed to equip professionals and future talents and skills needed to navigate the ever-evolving logistics sectors. And most of the programs are industry-developed, industry-driven, and industry-absorbed. So it's a truly industry partnership organization or the center of excellence which we do. This year, CII Institute of Logistics is organizing its 11th Global Supply Chain Summit in September in Bangalore. The greatest gathering of all the supply chain professionals, supply chain and logistics excellence awards will happen, scale. Every year we wrap up the year for CII Institute of Logistics by having this scale awards, the excellence awards. This will happen on 29th of November in Mumbai, and I invite on behalf of CII Institute of Logistics all of you to be part of that. Do participate, do send in your participation in that, and we would like to see you all participating in full force for the scale awards. Something about the STAR, the second edition of Solution Day Technology, Automation and Robotics. As we all know, India is driving towards with the vision to be the third largest economy by 2028 with a projected GDP of $5 trillion. I think this can be boosted by, we have the right consumption, consumption is going by boosting the manufacturing sector, which is targeted to reach 25% if we have to achieve this 5 trillion economy. We are hovering around 16%, I believe, and that manufacturing, I believe, that shift in the growth, in the volume, can happen when we are perfect in quality, we are efficient, and on the price point hitting the right things, and it has to, and it's also quite a lot export driven. And in all those things, logistics in this particular manufacturing and in this economy tend to, logistics is the 10 to 20% of the manufacturing cost or the total cost of delivery, but it depends upon sector to sector. Some sectors which are commodities, highly consumed commodities have, I think, more than 20% of the logistics cost, and some of the things are competitive which are coming near to 10%, but net total we are still very high. But not talking about the logistics, but talking about the efficiency, quality, and one of the things can be done with the technology, and that's what we are talking about today in the robotics. Robotics is a great field which can help us improve the efficiency and quality. And I think it's a myth that when robotics happens, the jobs will go. Just go back 25 years back or 30 years back when computers were coming, everybody said computers will come and we'll lose our jobs. I think we added more people on that rather than reducing the manpower. And robotics, just imagine if you are producing 10,000 pieces in a day. With the help of robotics, you are able to produce 100,000 pieces per unit per day, and then you will be able to add more people to the job, higher efficiency, better quality and all. And robotics is gaining good footprint in India, and it is surging 54% growth it has seen with in 2021 with around 4,954 pieces which have been robotic pieces were put. But just to give you a comparison, the highest implementation of robotics is happening in China, by far the largest in the world, where we are consuming around 4,500 robotics pieces. China at the same time was consuming around 250,000 robotics pieces, which is around 2.5 lakh robotics. So, but the good green shoots we have in India, under Make in India 2.0, robotics is one of the 27 subsectors identified to further enhance India's quality and productivity in this particular region. So according to World Robotics Report, there are 5 major industrial markets for robotics: China, Japan, United States, Korea, and Germany, which consumes around 78% of the things. And just imagine that China is always seen as a cheap labor, but I think gone are the days. That was 5-7 years. They adopted robotics so heavily, which helped them to bring their quality, efficiency, and consistency over the period. And I think it's a high time we adopt this particular technologies. I won't be talking much about that. I'm not supposed to talk much on the topic. I have experts today all across the day who will be talking about this particular topic. I get passionate when I start talking about this, so I can't control myself. But this year's conference is called as the North Star of Logistics. The sessions will cover automation triumphs from the horse's mouth, fixed, flexible, or fusion, discovering the ultimate truth, mastering the tech stack, the backbone of digital supply chain. Now I may request Dr. Rahul Marathe, Professor, Department of Management Studies, IIT Madras, deliver the address on cold chains in India, technology, infrastructure, and challenges. Dr. Rahul Marathe.
Okay, very good morning to all of you. Thanks a lot for very generous introduction. I don't think I deserve that, but thank you. Today I want to talk to you about a field that definitely requires a lot of technological intervention, and a very expert audience like you can definitely give me more inputs on this. So this is what, the field that I wish to talk to you about is the cold supply chains, the cold chain infrastructure in particular, and why I think more technological inputs, more automation inputs can benefit this particular field, this particular branch of logistics. I'm from IIT Madras, and whatever we are going to present is a introduction piece done by me and my research associate Ramya. So essentially, to me, what is a cold chain? Cold chain to me is just a bunch of technology that is built to handle perishable goods. Right? Whenever we have perishable goods, we have milks, vegetables, fruits, pharmaceuticals. So many products now requiring temperature-controlled movement, temperature-controlled storage, and all of this has to be a technology solution. So we talk about infrastructure solution, but in cold supply chain, it is essentially a technological infrastructure that needs to be built. So it is both mobile as well as fixed infrastructure that we must talk about. We must talk about warehouses which are specifically designed to handle these perishable products. 3 years ago, when we were just getting stuck with pandemic, we realized how important these cold chains are, particularly in the pharmaceutical sector, and they have always been. They have always been, and I have some statistics to highlight why we need very deep intervention in this area. So two primary technologies that people focus on when we talk about cold chains, they are the farm gate, which is essentially right at the produce level, and the transit handling parts, which is mainly the warehouses and the goods, the transportation infrastructure, which are mostly mobile. So why do we need this? Because the first and the foremost reason is to stop wastages. I have some staggering statistics to tell you how much is getting wasted simply because we don't have technology getting implemented here. So it has huge potential positive impact on public health. Markets may benefit because it will make sure that we have continuous availability of the product, the around the year availability of product. There will not They will not be constrained by the seasons. Better product quality, because not only the wastage will reduce, even the products going bad will reduce, right? Particularly when we talk about pharmaceuticals, which are critical to health, they need these technologies for making sure that they are effective when they reach the customer. Why is cold chains getting interesting in India today? That is because of very innovative, advanced technologies that are getting implemented, but I still think there is a lot of scope to do it. That's why I think cold chains are important. Let me quickly tell you why. What is the current quick statistics? We are growing. Cold chains in India are growing. On an average, we are showing about 12.3 CAGR expected in the next 5 years. Purely in terms of the pie that cold chain has, even in the logistics industry, is growing. But once again, there are challenges, and I wish to quickly highlight some of them now. India has been global leader in milk production for a long time, for a really, really long time. The White Revolution has helped us grow there. We are doing very well in terms of even the fruits and vegetable productions. We are second in the world right now in production. Even in seafood, meat, poultry industry, we are doing very well. Actually, our meat industry exports, net exports. Once again, potential to the macroeconomic policies in terms of export promotion. So all these products require cold chains, right from the production stage all the way till the time it reaches the customer. So everywhere we need. Pharmaceutical is again industry which is growing. We are once again third in the world in terms of production by volume. Little less in terms of value, but the volumes, right? The goods that we are moving in the pharmaceutical industry, they are massive, they are huge. And once again, I'm highlighting why do we need all this? And the problem is because we don't have enough technologically capable infrastructure in cold chains, we are losing massive. We are losing almost 8 to 15 billion USD in terms of product wastage. So just a quick sector-wise snapshot of cold chains. Most of it is privately owned. Most of it is in the wholesale space, and most of it is in the unorganized space, which is pretty much the structure of cold chain in India as against some of the Western developed cold chain markets. Where few players control a major proportion of the market. In India, the market is very fragmented, and therefore the infrastructure is more dispersed, more diffused, rather than centrally managed, centrally controlled by few organizations. Pros and cons on both sides. So continuing, quick check on some of the sectors. We are more on the chilled product rather than the frozen product. We are actually much higher, just like any sector of logistics. Most of the cold chains are road driven. Most of the cold chains are road driven. We use quite a lot of eutectic technologies, which are essentially phase changing material, right? Phase changing material, again, economic sense, saves a lot of cost in terms of saving the electricity cost and the movement cost, because the phase changing material are sustainable. So benefits in terms of sustainability also. And once again, the market is controlled by multi-temperature facilities rather than a single temperature facilities. So that's a quick summary of segment-wise progress of where we are. And if you look at the reefer markets, everywhere, right? The CAGR is growing. I have put down the numbers for 2023 as well as expected number in 2028. Everywhere we are showing potential to grow, both in terms of the technologies to be implemented and the product variety to be implemented. Actually, that is again a problem, because many of these cold chain infrastructure is focused on few products, but we definitely need multiple industries, multiple products to be covered using these facilities. Just as I told you, the idea is to shock. So this is my slide to shock you. So just in terms of agriculture, we are losing something like 58,000 crores to 96,000 crores because these products are not getting cold chain infrastructure. Roughly about 1/3 of our horticulture products suffer because they are not covered by these cold chain infrastructure. And on a daily basis, roughly about $20 million crops are wasted because immediately after harvesting, they are not getting into the formal storage where they can be controlled, they can be monitored, right? So that's where we are. So definitely we need interventions. We need quicker interventions. Going forward, with so much of agricultural production, I told you we lead the market in terms of vegetables and fruits. How much of it is actually covered under cold chain? Single digits, right? Only 2% of the primary producers are actually stored and controlled using cold chain infrastructure. How much are we losing? We are not only losing because of wastage, we are losing even in terms of environment. It is estimated that because the rotting vegetable, rotting fruits are emitting CO2, that is contributing to CO2 emissions, and that estimate has gone up to 7%. So roughly about 7% of the emissions, the greenhouse gas emissions are because of decomposing food. That decomposition would not have happened if we would have covered them using the cold chain infrastructure. A quick summary of where are we losing all this, right? For example, milk production. In summers, we have really bad summers, and the milk, nearly 30% of the produce gets wasted in summer days. And same things about fruits and the meat and fish industry. So that's where we are. Globally, where are we? Not that only India loses perishable products because of lack of cold chains. Globally, it happens. It's not an India phenomena. It's a global phenomena. So the cold chain industry is expected to be around 428 million by 2028. Growth rate of 9%. Remember, I told you that we are expected to grow at a higher rate, roughly about 13%. Also because we have more scope. We have more scope than the rest of the world to cover everything. Globally, 17% of our food is getting wasted because they are not coming under CC infrastructure, cold chain infrastructure, right? Costing global economy a huge amount. If you look at various markets, some of the markets we have studied, some of the markets we are studying right now. Some of the markets are more government driven, where government interventions are driving the market. In some global markets, it is the private sector driving the market, and government is playing a secondary role. Depending on which market you look at, we have both the models available. If you look at US market, for example, US market is completely private sector driven. Few organizations controlling large proportion of facilities, exactly opposite of what we are. We have small organizations controlling a large proportion of the infrastructure that is available in the market. They are by far they are the market leaders in terms of technological solutions and the spread of CCI. CCI is cold chain infrastructure, right? I told you earlier that India has roughly about 2% of the agricultural produce coming into the CCI. US is 85%. 85% of their fresh products are kept in cold storage before they reach the final customer. Quick snapshot of European market. European market has gone in a completely different dimension. Their cold chain market is more focused on sustainability. So that's where they are targeting. So they want their cold chain infrastructure not only to be productive, efficient, they also want it to be sustainable. That's where they are. Asia Pac market, not unexpectedly, India, China are the biggest growing markets in CCI in terms of Asia Pacific region because of our rapidly urbanizing economy, in general, changing customer taste, consumer preferring products of particular type, affording products that are available, right? So all of that has led to growth of CCI. And yes, India and China both are growing, and I will do a separate thing on China versus India, but this is not the thing. This is only the snapshot of what is happening globally. So the Indian cold chain markets, they are, as I said, unevenly distributed. Very large number of organizations controlling smaller amounts of individual cold chain infrastructure. Yes, as I said, 3,500 organizations in the market, and which is exactly opposite to what happens in the US market, right? There, 1% of the organizations control most of the market in US particularly. So government has been trying to do quite a lot in terms of supporting this particular sector, the cold chain infrastructure. Particularly, government has been focusing on building these physical infrastructure, building warehouses, building these storage facilities. These are all the schemes. Lots and lots of them. Lots of impact that has happened because of the schemes that have been introduced. I have only 3 examples to share. There are many more. So, for example, NHB, which is National Horticulture Board, they actively promote building of these infrastructure up to 10,000 metric tons. They cover almost close to 40% of the project cost, and in specific regions of the country, the support actually goes up to more than 50%. The National Mission on Food Processing, they have been actively helping industry to build these infrastructure. 5 crore per project is allocated, right? Very attractive interest rate. And because of through this mission, actually a lot of infrastructure is actually getting built, and we have statistics to show that, not covered in the slides. Even the Agriculture and Processed Food Authority, they have been supporting, once again, supporting some project costs, offering subsidies, particularly towards physical infrastructure building, which is definitely needed in a country like ours. So lots and lots of government schemes available to build this infrastructure, to build this technology, but technology is definitely needed here. So where are we in terms of actually getting these technologies built? We have more than 8,000 facilities, individual facilities, warehouses, storage facilities, and so on. State-wise, we were able to put up some statistics. Just like any industry, we have a Pareto distribution here. The top 7 states have more than 70% of the infrastructure that is available, whereas some states are leading in availability of physical infrastructure. Some states are lagging, but hoping that the schemes that I earlier spoke to you about will definitely help improve the situation. So this is the shortage in each area. In some areas we have large amount of shortage. In some area we are doing pretty well. The shortage is much lesser. Shortage of cold chain infrastructure. So this is what I wish to leave you. This is where we are. At the end of the day, cold chain infrastructure is a pure engineering problem. We need to find something like phase-changing material, right? To build this cold chain infrastructure, how are we going to keep the temperatures controlled efficiently at less cost, at scale? It's an optimization problem because all these warehouses have to be located strategically. The trucking has to be optimized. There aren't too many trucks which actually have the temperature control, which means that they have to be operated, maintained correctly. So it's an optimization problem. It's a technological problem because we are still lacking in terms of AI/ML implementation, IoT implementation, blockchain implementation, which can actually help this industry, which can help the cold chain industry a lot. And just like any other logistics industry, this industry can also benefit by simply tracking, right? We don't have visibility on where my product is, where is it rotting, is it actually getting temperature controlled, is the temperature failing, right? So simply tracking technologies can help cold chain industry so much. So that's where I am. And my last piece is a very, very selfish piece. With CII Institute of Logistics, we are doing a study on EV supply chain, which is going to be the next topic. And for that, I wanted your views. You are the experts. You are the industry leaders. So if you have your views on EV supply chain, this is a QR code that you can scan and help me. Give me your inputs. This is a place where you can, there are some questions which we want you to help us answer, right? If you want to reach me, this is the way to reach me. But anything on cold supply chain, definitely. Anything on EV supply chain, please let me know your views. I could definitely gain from your insights and experience. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Marathe, for exposing us to such an important industry, and the losses were just shocking, but also it gives us a view that such an immense opportunity lies in front of us for the benefit of the industry, the farmers, the complete manufacturing, the perishable industry. But for logisticians, it's a challenge, it's a problem, but a great opportunity. Thank you very much for this. And we will send the inputs for the EV. I've scanned it. Now I may request Mr. Farhan Muqaddam, Senior Director, Alvarez and Marshall, to deliver the address on logistic automation, a strategic imperative in India's growth. Farhan.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you to Dr. Bhanu, Nitin, Vineet for helping organize this. Very pleased and very honored to be on this esteemed panel with Dr. Pandurang and Dr. Marathe. Technology and automation in logistics is something that Alvarez and Marshall as a firm has a very, very deep focus on. This is a space which is actually very close to my heart. A lot of the work that me personally that I've done has been in helping develop automation technology across some of the logistics companies that you have, as well as for the supply chains of some of the critical end users. Today, the focus of my conversation with you will be on how do we drive automation and technology systems in logistics in India, and just try to talk about what has been plaguing our industry and how do we really go from where we are to where we really want to be in the future. When you look at India today, right, and some of the key drivers that are building our economy and subsequently automation, you look at the growth of consumption in India, where you see incomes growing rapidly with the fastest growing GDP in the country, and you see that same impact through income levels across the country. And as a result, customers are expecting things differently, right? Maybe a few years back, there would be a certain level of comfort with maybe slower service, with maybe inefficiencies in the delivery to customers. But now, when you look at some of the customers today, right, they're looking for speed, they're looking for accuracy, they're looking to be extremely flexible. And of course, India is a value-conscious market, and therefore cost becomes very critical here. Similarly, you see a lot of initiatives on the government side, right, where you see the government is really driving some of the growth, is driving some of the investment in automation through funding, through encouragement, through the right kind of skilling mechanisms that are there here. You also have certain other elements, right, where you're seeing supply chains of end users alongside scale, alongside the kinds of customers that they're catering to, as well as the kind of globalization that we're seeing, where you're seeing supply chains of end users becoming a lot more complex than they were before. So you have warehouses becoming larger, you have distribution to smaller towns becoming much more prevalent. You have, so there was a time, maybe 20 years back, where the real consumption for a lot of the large companies in India really happened in the top 100 or 150 cities. Today we're talking about 500 or 600 or 700 cities, right? And alongside that, you have a lot more complexity across the supply chains. And then finally, you are also seeing a lot of technology innovation, right? That's been happening both on the automation side as well as on the technology side, which is also driving our ability to actually help drive automation within our overall ecosystem. When we look at logistics and automation across some of the critical industries, right, in our economy, there is a general perception that certain consumer-focused industries, e-commerce, quick commerce, maybe some advanced modern retail firms, maybe certain segments such as apparel, FMCG, are likely to be on the forefront of technology and technology adoption. While that's true, you have some of our largest companies are extremely efficient, have built some of the most advanced automation systems, not just in India, but also comparatively to the rest of the world. I think one thing that I do want to draw attention to is that we have a much wider economy. And when you look at the automation potential and the automation adoption that you see across some of the segments that you wouldn't really expect, right? When you look at steel, when you look at cement, when you look at other bulk commodities, the automation potential and the automation levels of some of our leaders is really, really high. Let me give you an example, right? So there are cement warehouses in the country, right, which actually cater to more than 300 to 400 vehicles per day. And some of these warehouses, you would not believe, actually operate with only 4 people. Through some of the work that we've done, right, as Alvarez and Marcel, we've actually worked with a lot of cement companies and steel companies, and the level of automation, the level of adoption of AI, the level of adoption of some of the visibility solutions are actually as advanced as you would probably see in an e-commerce company or an FMCG company, right? So I think one thing that I do want to bring attention to is that while you do see adoption of some of the latest automations, sorters, ASRS systems in some of the consumer-focused industries which work on more conventional warehousing solutions, with palletization and racks, so on and so forth, I do want to draw attention to the fact that automation and the level of automation across the economy can actually end up being quite high. The technology that you end up using is very different. Dr. Marathe spoke about the need for automation, technology, and cold chain. Right now, that's not a sector that you intrinsically would think of. When it would definitely not be first of mind when you think of technology and technology adoption in the system. Right? Neither would cement and neither would steel. But nonetheless, there are some very, very advanced systems that are available to cater to these different industries. And what you'll see across all of these industries is that these industries have different characteristics. Right? You have the speed of demand. Some of the consumer-focused industries require some very, very, speed is something that's very, very critical for them. The pace of movement and the throughput actually ends up being very, very high. In other industries, you have reliability that becomes very, very important. Right? So, for example, when you look at something like the e-commerce industry, reliability is something that's very critical because the turnaround time that you actually have is maybe 3 to 4 days. There's a very high customer interface, and a lot of e-commerce companies their entire existence and their entire perception in the market is depending on the quality of service that you actually offer when it comes to delivering a product. right? Similarly, when you look at FMCG, when you look at apparel, when you look at automotive products, right, the level of complexity of the products, the number of SKUs, the variations in the SKUs, the weight, size, differences in mixes ends up being very high. And therefore, what you'll see, right, is that there will be a differential kind of adoption of automation that will happen across each of these different industries, different commodities, and there is enough room for different kinds of automation solutions that are present and prevalent in the market and could be developed in the future. When you look at the level of adoption, right, and you see this currently in our economy, and you've also seen this evolve over a period of time, right? At the very basic level of automation, you may have some basic tech-enabled systems where you have something as simple as a barcode scanner, or you may have something as order inventory management system, some fairly basic level conveyor systems, forklifts, cranes, etc. Now, maybe 25 years back or 30 years back, this was actually considered as some of the most advanced automation that was present in our system. Right now, I'd just like to walk you through, how the automation evolution of automation has reached, and where we are today, and where we are likely to be in the future. Post, the basic level of automation, you have certain assisted automations where you have put to light, pick to, put to voice, pick to voice. You had transport management solutions. You had some more advanced versions of warehouse management solutions, which aided in put away, which aided in picking, which aided in some of the value-added solutions. There was a certain level of visibility, track and trace solutions that were prevalent in the market. That the adoption of some of these systems really became widespread. While they did exist, a while back, they really started becoming widespread in India maybe around 8 to 10 years back, right, where you actually saw adoption of some of these technologies and systems across the value chain. A lot of that at that point in time was actually driven by not just the need, right, but it was also the supply that became critical, right? There was a period before that where maybe there was a need. Companies definitely needed it. They acknowledged it. But there simply wasn't the supply of the high quality technology and automation solutions that you can talk about, right? You come to now where we are today, right, as an economy. We are in the stage of something which I would call autonomous automation, right, where essentially you have systems that are both with intelligence and without intelligence, right? You have some advanced sortation systems, you have parcel handling systems that can actually sort maybe 10,000 or in fact going up to even 50,000 parcels per hour. You have automated guided vehicles, right? You've got drones, which are actually becoming more and more prevalent, both in adoption, and I'm not just talking about somebody coming and delivering a pizza to your house. I'm also talking about the adoption of drones in things such as mining, steel production, where tracking of inventory, tracking of raw material can actually be quite tedious if you have to do it manually, and drones actually help in some of those elements. You have robots, you have some advanced automated reach systems, you have unmanned vehicles within hubs, within warehouses, within distribution centers that actually enable decision making to happen much faster, and you also have the speed and efficiency of operations actually improving quite consistently. Now, when you look at where we are today versus where we really need to go in the future, right? We are talking about possibly a stage, and you see some shoots of this, right, in some of the more advanced companies. And I think some of the panelists that you have today will probably talk about this in more detail. But you are seeing some early shoots where you have automation not just of a single device or a single vehicle or a single part of your value chain, but you are literally seeing automation actually string across your entire supply chain, right? Where you have different elements of your supply connected. They're effectively making decisions with minimal or no manual intervention at any point in time, right? So, for instance, you may actually have a system where, before your truck loads, right, you may have an automated a reach truck, right, or a pallet loader actually ready, for the truck to arrive, and that can actually hasten your unloading process. Similarly, you have some advanced dimensioning devices, right, which can actually help you plan your truck volume, your truck utilization. Maybe there are some very basic levels of this automation that are currently being adopted for different kinds of companies. But I think what you will see in the future is that some of these will become a lot more prevalent and a lot more advanced. Some of the challenges that we really want to talk about, right? And I think while you look at, how technology and how automation really evolves, I think you see a very big disparity, particularly in a country like India, between some of the more advanced companies, your leaders and, the top 10, the top 20 companies in an industry versus the wider landscape, right? Even if you move from the top 20 to the next 30 or the next 40, you will see that the level of automation drops quite considerably, right? And also when you look at the wider market, right, and you look at the long tail of suppliers, you will see that the level of automation that they are able to actually deliver actually ends up being quite low, right? I think one of the elements that we need to focus on, right, as logistics service providers, as advisors to the industry, and as some very efficient companies that actually build some of the most advanced technology systems, is that how do we actually take this automation that you see in some of the larger companies, and how do you move it to some of the smaller the smaller companies that are present across our value chain, right? And I think maybe I'll just leave the thought, right? There are two critical areas which actually constrain that constrain adoption. Number one, I think there needs to be a certain level of comfort that, hey, look, we've been there for the last 20 or 30 years. We are going to be there for the next 30 years, right? And that gives people the confidence to actually invest in the future. And as an economy, we need to give that confidence into some of the smaller businesses prevalent in our system. And I think the final element is also the reach, right? And I think the esteemed guests that we have in this room actually play a big role in actually not just catering to some of the larger companies, but also taking some of these solutions to the wider economy, right? And with that, I would like to end this conversation. Thank you so much for being present and patiently listening.
Thanks, Farhan, for this insightful talk on automation. And I'm glad to see some of the slides where we are actually started talking in India from basic automation to assisted autonomous, and we are talking the words like ASRS, robotics, AGVs, AMRs. I'm really glad, and I can't stop saying that I had 10 years back, I was sitting with one of the biggest 3PL Courier Express Parcel company's CEO, and we were walking in their warehouse, and he said, you guys do a lot of automation and you bring in high-end 50,000, 70,000 K per hour sorting systems. He said, you can deploy on the fly FIFO, LIFO, those kind of things. And he said, we have a system called FISH. And I asked, what is FISH? He said, first in, still here, because there is no visibility. And I'm just glad that 10 years down the line, we are talking about the automation. So thanks, Farhan, for this. Now I may request Mr. Vineet Masgaonkar, member CII National Committee on Logistics and Chairman Armstrong Dematic, to deliver his address, From Vision to Reality, Future-Proofing the Star.
Thank you, Nitin. Thank you, dignitaries on the dais, for being here and gracing this occasion. Thank you to the audience for being here and the esteemed audience that you are. I think that just by virtue of being present at this event denotes that this entire audience is involved in charting the future of STAR, that is Technology Automation and Robotics of this country. Thanks, Dr. Bhanu, for inviting quite a few ladies here. I often maintain that we should have a good balance of diversity within this group, although there is more that's wanted, but still it's not bad. At the outset, I would say that, in a world where products have achieved a certain level of perfections, the success of any business is actually a war between the supply chains of two businesses. So if you take down the top 3 or top 5 companies from any industry segments, I don't think that, you would distinguish their products with great distinction that, this product is so different from the other. But what actually makes the leader the true leader is, the way they handle their supply chains, right from inputs to their outputs. We have been seeing a massive transformation of supply chains in the past 10 years. In India, particularly since the advent of GST, and specifically for the last 5 or 6 years. About 6 or 7 years ago, when any potential customer would approach us and say that, we are coming up with a large warehouse, that would normally mean 100,000 square feet, a lakh of a square feet. And this definition of a large warehouse just doubled year over year. And today, if some customer approaches us and says that we are coming up with a large warehouse, we can easily assume it to be about 1 million square feet. And I'm sure that these definitions will further go on scaling up. One interesting trend that we have seen also in the past 1.5 to 2 years, that's a very interesting trend. But let me tell you what existed before this trend. So 3 years ago, if we would receive any inquiry, and Nitin might corroborate what I'm saying, we would first check, that what's the revenue of this customer. And we had a thumb rule that if the revenue of a customer is less than about 2,000 crores, then justifying automation is going to be difficult. Or we would have some other thumb rules like how many trucks go in and out of a warehouse in a day. And if that number was anything below 10, we used to conclude that there is no viability of automation or robotics here. It just started at 10. It slightly improved at 30 to 40 trucks a day. And it became very imperative at about 60 to 80 trucks per day and above that. That was the classic spot, the sweet spot for us for automation. But in the last 1.5 or 2 years, we are seeing a very interesting trend. Almost 2 to 3 out of 10 of people or inquiries that we receive on automation and robotics come from companies who are in the range of about 500 crores of a revenue. In fact, we had a few inquiries coming up from companies for ASRS, coming up from a company which was just 150 crores of a revenue, and ASRS, as you know, typically calls for an investment of typically 10 crores plus. You usually don't get anything in ASRS below 10 crores. So imagine a company with a revenue of 150 crores talking about investing in an ASRS. Not talking, but they actually invested 10 crores in an ASRS. And this trend, I think, is what is making STAR more interesting. What is very important is the vision with which your supply chain has to be developed in terms of STAR. Today's title is the North Star of automation, the North Star of logistics. So what is your North Star? It is very important to first define your North Star, irrespective of the size of your company. I think what is the first imperative is to develop a holistic vision of where you intend to go. It doesn't matter if you can implement the vision in a year, in 2 years, in 5 years, or in 10 years. But having that holistic vision is very important. And then you can break it down into more implementable, modular, scalable kind of automation or robotics or technology pieces. So if you do that, then you must know what is the role that STAR, let me use this acronym STAR, which stands for various solutions in technology, automation, and robotics. So how can integrating STAR dramatically improve your operations? So it improves your operations in terms of its efficiencies, reducing errors, and enhancing your throughputs. So typically, when I use these generic words, but I think that unless you can justify a quantum change in your efficiencies, in your productivities, it doesn't justify. We are not looking at incremental changes like 5%, 10%. We are looking at doubling the throughputs. We are looking at reducing the error. So these days, in case of sorting, we have already started writing down guarantees of 99.96% for sorting accuracies for our customers. And this was never thought of about 3 years ago. And when I say this, I think those who are in the retail sector, they know the cost of returns, they know their percentages of returns. And you can imagine that if your sorting accuracies are 99.96, and in reality we deliver 99.98, so maybe just 2 missed sorts in 10,000, and it can even go beyond that. You can imagine the cost saved. You can imagine the wastages that are minimized. A statistic says, it's a proven statistics, which comes from Asian Paints, after they introduced ASRS in their warehouses about 15 or 20 years ago. And they had the cost of wastages of about 1.5%, which wouldn't get captured. But they realized that they started having those savings. 1.5% of a revenue straight away percolating down to your bottom line. And that was the returns they got from ASRS, something that was intended to pay back in 10 years, actually paid back in 2 years. And most often, when we always calculate the ROIs and the payback periods of STAR, the biggest miscalculated parameter is the lost opportunity or the wastages that we often don't look at. So how do you go about building? So first is you build the vision, then you break it down into models to implement it. But how do you go about this? I think that the best way to go about it is that, of course, these technologies are very complex, and as Farhan said, autonomous connected technologies are already in place. We as Armstrong Dematic have been delivering it for the past few years, but I have many industry peers who also do that. Of course, Boimer is one. You have Daifuku, you have Adverb. All these companies have been doing autonomous and connected technologies. So first and most important thing I feel is that, and at the end of the day, you coming from the supply chain, I think your core focus is your product and handling your product as delicately as possible, as carefully as possible, and getting it from its source to destination, which is in the hands of the customer, without any pilferages, wastages, damages, and with ultimate accuracy. So this involves a very complex technology, and that complex technology is summed up in the word STAR, which is technology, automation, and robotics. These three are inseparable, actually. You cannot just have technology and not have automation or not have robotics. I mean, in the future world, these three key technologies are just inseparable. They are like the Siamese triplets, if I may call. You just can't separate them. So I think it is very important for you to first try and find the right partner who can deliver your North Star. And what's the criteria for the partner? I mean, of course, you would have your own parameters, but fundamentally, it typically starts at somebody who can be the consultant for you, who can conceptualize, help you conceptualize your vision. After your conceptualization, the partner should be able to create a kind of a digital twin or a simulation of what is being envisioned. Once you have the simulations in place, Then the time comes for execution of that vision. In the execution, it is very important to manage the project very efficiently, because these complex projects have a typical implementation cycle of 12 months, 18 months, 2 years. And hence, a comprehensive, precise project management becomes very important. I must mention the delivery, the quality of your product, the entire ability to end-to-end integrate all the technology, automation, robotics together. Then, what is also important is the software stack. It's the key, it's the backbone of all these technologies. And last but not the least, life cycle support. With these complex technologies, when you want to put your company as a winner in supply chains, and supply chains will define the winners, I think that your life cycle support, life cycle management also becomes very important. Whether the system that you invest in stays with you and the partner is able to support you for the next 10 years, 20 years. I think 10 years is a given. 20 years, sometimes some technologies might become obsolete, but then there is a question of, again, there is the need of modernization. So all these aspects should be taken care when you invest into a star or your North Star. Keeping this in mind, when we are working with Farhan and his team while curating today's sessions, as you can see in the program, categorically you will find in the first session, it is the automation triumphs. And we have some stalwarts from the industry today who will be sharing their been there, done that experience. Because we often come across questions in the industry that, okay, this is very nice to hear and listen to, but do you have the proof of the pudding? And friends, I think in the first session, you'll be meeting quite a few stalwarts here who have already implemented STAR in their respective companies, in their profiles, in their current profiles, and they'll be sharing insights with you about what were their triggers. If you see the bullet points in the agenda, it sounds very interesting. How did they conceptualize, calculate the budgets, their ROIs? How did they go about selecting vendor partners? And so on and so forth. In the post-lunch session, we are addressing the next debate. And the debate currently is about whether automation should be fixed, whether it should be flexible, or fusion is the right way in which the connected autonomous automation, wherein you have a base level of sustainable automation to cater to your standard productivity, and at the same time having the scalable or flexible automation to cater to your seasonality. And the right fusion of these two stars, I think, is the way to go. But again, this will be point by point unveiled in our second session. And in the last session, we will emphasize on how technology is the backbone of STAR, and how that's the first piece of module that you normally start by implementing before you achieve or you come close to your North Star. While integrating all of this, I think that it's a given that STAR automatically implies a sustainability and efficiency. We all know the seriousness of sustainability in the current times with the climatic changes that we are experiencing. 10 years ago, we were just talking about it. Now we are experiencing it. And I think that sustainability has to be the foundation or a base of whatever we do or whatever future we create. And I think STAR modulates with it, gels with it very naturally. And finally, I would request and urge all of you here and also your industry fraternity to connect with STAR as a group which exists in CII. And I think that these connected groups can share their experiences, can reach out to experts for solving their problems, and it can actually help us accelerate our journey towards the North Star at a very fast pace. Thank you.
Thanks, Vineet, for bringing the star for everyone. I think well said, the speed with which things are changing in last few years in India. I can see for last 15 years I've been trying that things change in India and we can deploy some automation, which we have been deploying for last 80, 90 years globally. But yes, I think it's important to have your North Star, holistic view, long-term view, and then have all the equipments, all the automation in there. But just remember one thing, in addition to all the things which Vineet has said, it's not about collecting these nice toys like conveyors, ASRS, sorters, AGVs, AMRs. It has to deliver a nice music. It's like an orchestra. You can have all the instruments, but in the end, it has to play the right music which will work for you. So remember what music you want to play, and then collect all the instruments and have a nice conductor to play your orchestra. So now with this, I would request Dr. Raut Panduranga, Deputy Director General of Shipping Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Warehouse, Shipping and Waterways, Government of India, to release the joint publication of CII Institute of Logistics and Alvarez and Marshall on Logistics Automation, a strategic imperative to India's growth, and then later deliver an inaugural speech on automation in port, shipping and waterways. I would request Dr. Pandurang now to deliver the inaugural address on automation in port, shipping, and waterways. Dr. Pandurang.
Thank you, Mr. Nitinji. The dais, occupied by very dignity, Dr. Rahul Marathe, sir, Mr. Vineet Majgaonkar ji, Mr. Farhan Mukandam ji, Madam K. Bhanumati ji, esteemed stakeholders from industry, particularly transportation, logistics. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. The timing selected for this conference is very unique. You must be knowing that on Wednesday, the Union Cabinet approved 12 new industrial smart cities in different states of India with outlay of rupees 28,000 crores, which will boost the manufacturing in India. Yesterday, my organization, that is DG Shipping, has started revamped E-Samudra project. And today, when you go out from this gathering here, you will be seeing that one of the most important events has happened, that is our Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji will be inaugurating and laying the foundation stone for Vadhuvan port project worth of 76,000 crore rupees. So this event will have very historic importance, means your second North Star is having very historic importance today. You have listened to the luminaries from the dais on the different aspect. I will just go through the automation and technology adoption in port shipping and waterways. Okay. As Mr. Vinith has just mentioned, everybody should have his, her, or their North Star. You may be having your own North Star for your own companies, but the common North Star for all of us is Vision India 2047, and that is Vikasit Bharat, Develop India. It will be possible through transforming our nation's present and achieving the future. By 2047, we will be a GDP of 30 trillion US dollars. And the per capita income for Indians will be around 18,000 to 20,000 US dollars, making us one of the members of developed nation. And through this journey, we will be the fastest growing large economy in the world. Dear friends, the contribution from all of you will be very important for this whole journey. In 2023, the Sustainable Development Index, we rank at 112 out of 166 nations. So just imagine the target to be achieved in the coming years. The global there is competitive ranking for India amongst 64 nations was 40th in 2023. Presently, we are having 2 ports in the top 40 ports in the world, that is JNPA and Mundra. We are among the top 5 nations in the world as far as trained manpower is concerned. We are the second largest sea recycling industry in the world, and our logistic performance index, our position is 38th. Dear friends, all of you are knowing that 95% of India's trade by volume and 60% by value is done through the maritime sector, that is ocean transport. So just imagine the connection between your industry and the ocean transport sector, which is consisting of 3 major hubs, that is ports, shipping, and waterways. This is the normal integrated port ecosystem where the port stakeholders are there, consisting of various government authorities and the business communities, starting from, you can say, shipping lines, cargo owners, and others. The hinterland connectivity with different modes of transport is also a partner in this port ecosystem, and the physical infrastructure like cranes, berths, and roads are also the partner in the port ecosystem. During recent years, the major thrust area for development of the port was to have the upgraded technology and bringing innovations. By bringing the world-class technologies, state-of-the-art technologies to increase the efficiency in the equipment is the aim for all of us in the port industry. Further, the automating end-to-end technologies will definitely increase the automation along with efficiency. And we are doing the business process re-engineering in all processes and activities of the port. By this way, we are going to reduce the time and cost for the customers by making ease of doing business for them. One of the organizations that I have mentioned about the shipping, DG Shipping, the major stakeholders for DG Shipping are the seafarers, then shipping lines, then the maritime training institutes, which are producing the seafarers, then the maritime transport operators from the logistic industry. They are like doing the business where two modes of transports are involved, out of which one mode is the water transport, particularly ocean transport. And they are interacting with different organizations in DG Shipping and its allied offices. Let me just tell you the normal function of DG Shipping is related to ships and seafarers. Ships starting from its registration till recycling, passing through different phases of inspection, survey, certification, and the seafarers like starting from their joining in the industry as a student till the welfare measures and retirement from the industry. And throughout this whole process, we are having the safety, security related aspects by controlling the pollution and having interaction with one of the most important international organizations like International Maritime Organization and International Labour Organization. Dear friends, another what means inland waterways for India. We can see that there are 111 national waterways with the length of more than 20,000 kilometers. Out of that, 16 are operational. And by 2030, we are making another 22 operational. You can see that approximately 130 million tons of cargo is getting moved on these inland waterways, where around 80% and above support is from coastal and river transport. The figure shows the different transport, means waterways and their contribution. Now, every speaker has spoken where we were and where will we go. So, the existing technology in the port, you can connect with your technology available in your industry. The ports are having the regular port operation management systems, then the, as usual, ERP, and the recently introduced port community system, and the auxiliary IT system for different aspects. For DG Shipping, e-Samudra is the core of all functions, and for Inland Waterways Authority, the River Information System, that is RIS, and another is PANI, that is Portal for Assets for Navigation, and one more is LADIS, that is Least Available Depth Information System. When we studied our existing capabilities, then we have found some of the challenges. These challenges may be related to the much more manual interventions at different steps, then the lack of SOPs and time frames. While speaking on cold chain, Dr. Rahulji has mentioned about the just-in-time delivery. Otherwise, there is a huge wastage of resources. So we have to give the time frame. Like we can see that when we are receiving anything, any item from Amazon or Flipkart, they will give you exact time frame. And they are delivering that also. But in logistic industry, we are just lacking, particularly maintaining the time frame. The same case is here for our ports also. Then the lack of processes, non-digitized processes in exim trade, and need of intervention by improved technologies. So these are the few challenges that we have found. And as Sri Vinitji has mentioned that there should be North Star. So this is a North Star for port shipping and waterways. We wanted to become first in the passenger volume by cruise in Asia Pacific particularly. Then we wanted to shift our rank from second to first in ship recycling industry, and we wanted to be top 5 countries for the ship building industry. But the basic aspect for today's conference is regarding the ports with just-in-time arrival. we wanted to make 100% of the port for that just-in-time arrival position. And we wanted to make 5 ports as smart ports in India. Other factors are, you can just see from the figures, but these are the specific areas for our achievement by 2047. And that has already been given in one of the book which has been released by our Honorable Prime Minister in October 2023, that is Maritime Amritkal Vision 2047. You have seen that most of the speakers have spoken about this issue. We have also found out some of the lacunas and wanted to cure them, wanted to address them. These may be like e-gate. That is the making arrangement at the port for avoiding manual entry. And all the entries of the vehicle, both exit and entry, will be through the automated systems. One of our speakers spoken about the drone technology. Drone technology is very essential for the ports because you can see ports are spread across huge area. A lot of operations are happening, huge with means heavy loaded operations, where drone technology will give the inventory management and provide the space to occupy it more properly. The online facilitation for business operation is also one of the aim. I just wanted to tell you because all these facets are being studied in the Ministry of Port, Shipping and Waterways under 2 different cells. One is Vibhas and other is Navik. Vibhas means Vikasit Bharat Cell and Navik means Nil Earth Implementation Vision Cell, that is Navik Cell. We are collecting all the information from different ports in India and mapping them at the level of their automation, their technology adoption. So the unmanned and automated terminal operations is also one of our aim. Then remote operations and connectivity. With the robust connectivity, we wanted to have the talk between the ships and the means onshore and offshore so that the delay can be avoided. Here, the terminal operating system that we are operating will be helping us for optimizing the resources and reducing the cost. Here, I just wanted to mention that the logistic cost in India is 14%, which is huge. Our major aim is to reduce it below 8 to 10%. Just imagine, by reduction of that logistic cost, what will be the gain for the industry. Dear friends, the port is also processing different kits. There are 6 kits we have identified, which will start from the identification of the problem and examining the problem and delivering the solution for those problems also. While doing this, we cannot we will not look away from the environment. Our ports are having huge drive for the plantation, not only in the port area, but around the roads also. And the major aspect is about the use of end-to-end green electricity, starting from taking the electricity for the vehicles also, and supplying the electricity to the ships when ships are coming and berthing in our ports. So you must be knowing that most of the ports are just near the cities, and the pollution that has been created by the vessels will contribute in the city's pollution. So if we give the supply to the ships, then the pollution can be reduced. These are the current systems where we have seen that the PCS, Port Community System, is providing a huge support for all our stakeholders to come together. As Mr. Farhan has mentioned, the Unified Logistic Interface Platform. This platform recently been inaugurated, and now around 10 ministries, barring 6 major ministries, are involved here. This is giving the fields, means the information to the stakeholders on real-time basis through the different APIs. Some of the key initiatives, like robotics in the port, is very much important, sir. Vineet sir, it is very important for our port sector because human can do the things up to a certain extent, but as accidents are concerned, then the scale of the operation are concerned, then the robotics are required. The drone-based surveillance and container profiling already I have mentioned, but the next important thing about the blockchain technology. Because while doing the business in the ports, we are having documents, secret documents, financial documents available, and our aim is to give the protection to them. So by adopting the blockchain technology, that aim can be achieved. The Inland Port Waterways Authority is having the aim for smart communication system, then putting the AIS, that is Automated Identification System, to utilize the available waterways and increase the efficiency. Then e-governance solution project for bringing the transparency and reducing the papers. The mass vessel design is also being done by our IWI. While doing all those things, the more important aspect is the port security, both from the external agency and from the internal accidents and explosion. So there are two aspects, that is ISPC and NSPS. They are the audits, that is international audits for port security. All of the ports are supposed to adhere to those international norms, and we are making most of the ports to adopt those security-related aspects. The cyber security is paramount importance for all our businesses. Then the navigational and operational safety, which will provide the security and the safety to the vessels when they are reaching to our ports. All these things will be possible by having the system, that is computerized marine systems, and using the latest equipments. Dear friends, the command and control system is very much important. Let it be small business or the large business. As sir has mentioned, the holistic approach has to be there, and that can be controlled through a centralized command and control system. These are some of the initiatives that DG Shipping has taken recently, and as I have mentioned, in the revamp e-Samudra project, we are going to achieve those also. We are having a facial biometric attendance system, very important for us. Starting with that system, we are running different online courses, then exams, and automatic delivery of digital certificates, whereby we are avoiding the frauds in the certification, and even international community can check our seafarer certificate anytime from our website. The Sagar Manthan portal, which Ministry has just recently launched, is having real-time data and the details, starting from the HR, finance, projects, the status of our traffic movement in the ports, then the capex utilization, and our progress on the Maritime India Vision, which has been released by our Prime Minister in 2021, and the Maritime Amrit Kal Vision document. The Sagar Setu, that is NLP Marine, National Logistic Portal Marine, is a port operating system. Here, different platforms have been developed, involving the cargo services, carrier services, different regulators, and PGM is participating government agencies, and the financial and banking systems. These are interacting with each other, along with simultaneously they are interacting with the external stakeholders also. The recently launched Maritime Single Window System, just as a fall convention, that is facilitation convention is there at international level. It has mandated for launching of this Maritime Single Window System, which will reduce the turnaround time for the vessel by around 30%. So vessel arrival and vessel departure will be given proper justification, particularly addressing their needs. They are not supposed to report each and every individual authority separately. So, dear friends, with this small introduction from my ministry, it may be limited to the port, shipping and waterways, but there are different aspects in relation to the shipbuilding, in relation to the cruise tourism, that is cruise industry, and all of you are related to this transport and logistic business run by the port, shipping and waterways. So I extend my congratulations to all of you for this conference, and all the best for this conference. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Dr. Pandurang, for showing us the vision for India at 100. And I think nicely put, it was there in Mr. Farhan's presentation also, and Dr. Pandurang's about ULIP and connectivity to ULIP with the PSC and a lot of initiatives, Sagar Setu, Sagar Manthan, Samudra, PSC. But ULIP, I believe if all the logisticians sitting over here, they are not aware of, do go into details of that. ULIP is amazing logistics connectivity tool, which is there with all the data flowing through that. And API with APIs, you can connect into that. So do look into that. One of the key thing Dr. Pandurang also said that they are doing, when they are bringing in all the automation, they are also doing business process re-engineering. And I think process integration, this is one of the key in any automation when you do. You have to re-look into your business processes. As logisticians, we need to reduce the number of touch points, and that would require the business process re-engineering. And with that, I'll not talk much. Thank you very much, Dr. Pandurang. And before I end, I would like to thank our sponsors, our partners, Bridgestone, TVS Supply Chain, Adverb, Armstrong Dematic, DP World, Bäumer Group, Hichadri, Total Group, and Alvarez and Marshall, our knowledge partners. So thank you very much. Once again, the dignitaries and distinguished speakers on the dais, Dr. Rahul Pandurang, Mr. Vineet Mazgaonkar, Mr. Farhan Mukadam, Dr. Rahul Marathe, and last but not least, Dr. Bhanumati, who is driving this for all of us. Of course, thank you very much for being patient, listening, and taking all the nuggets of information which you are getting over here. We'll have a 15 minutes break, and 5 minutes to 12, we'll start the next session for this. Thank you very much.